After watching this video of Hirai Sensei speaking, one part of the video caught my attention. The audio is difficult to understand, but it seems that he is explaining to Narita Sensei and others how Kurindo Aikido came to participate in the Meiji Shrine's Autumn Grand Festival. 3 names appear there. I'll try to subtitle just the names. Yurin Kaneko is the 34th Grand Master of Takeda Ryu Yabusame. He was a person who devoted himself to the preservation and transmission of the Otsubo-ryu Bujutsu, the Oki-ryu Kyujutsu, and the Wonka-ryu Kenjutsu, and was the chairman of Kurindo. I understand that Narita Sensei entered Kurindo through a relationship with Kaneko Sensei's son. I don't know who this Kaya could be heard as. I am sure that he is a person skilled in Budo. But, the name that caught my attention was this one. This person who can be heard as both Kuni-san and Kuni-san. I think it might be Zinya Kuni. Zinya Kuni-e, 18th Sokei of Kashima Shinryu. Even when challenged by judoka and karate masters, even when allowed to take up swords and other weapons, he had never lost a match in his life, winning numerous other style fights while taking them on the terms his opponents wanted. He was regarded as a heretic in the Budo world, but his overwhelming martial prowess earned him the nickname Hima Musashi. It could be a mishearing. Still, you need to know him. Because, without this man, everything called Budo would have disappeared and may never have spread throughout the world. After the end of the Pacific War, Japan was occupied and GHQ was established. In implementing the occupation policy, GHQ formulated the 3R, 5D, 3S policy. The 3R as a basic principle: revenge, reform, revive. The 5D as a mainly policy: disarmament, demilitarization, disindustrialization, decentralization, democratization. And 3S as a subsidiary policy: screen, sports, sex. They fed the people with the bait of entertainment and pleasure so that they would not be interested in politics. One does not need to think about how much this has affected Japan today. Disarmament also included Budo. On November 6, 1945, GHQ banned Kendo in schools, and the following year, Kendo in social sports was also banned, and more than 1,300 people involved in Kendo were also expelled from public office. The Dai Nippon Butoku Kai was dissolved after the war, in October 1946, at the behest of the Occupation Command. Naturally, Hirai Sensei was also affected. In the midst of all this, there was a man who was negotiating with GHQ to revive the Budo. He was Junzo Sasamori, a politician and the 17th Soket of the Onoha Itoryu. GHQ believed that Budo formed the spirituality and brutality of the Japanese people. Sassamori explained, "No, the ultimate goal of Budo is to win without hurting the opponent. If you're going to go that far, actually win the match and prove it." GHQ suggested to him. But, the conditions of the match that they imposed on Japan were extraordinary. The fighter on the GHQ side is an instructor who is the best bayonet wielder in the Marine Corps, and wear protective gear and fight. The bayonet used is also authentic. The Japanese, on the other hand, were at a complete disadvantage. They had no protective gear, and their swords were Fukuro Shurnai. It is not a match, but rather a harassment of the defeated nation. Sasomori accepted the conditions. But, if he lost the match, the Budo would disappear forever. From the Japanese side, this was a duel that would put the survival of Budo at stake. Who is worthy of this duel? He had several candidates in mind, but finally approached Kunii. Kunii said he had no reason to refuse and readily agreed with a grin. The American instructor and Kunii face off with their respective weapons in hand. As soon as he signaled the start of the match, the instructor took aim at Kunii's throat and quickly thrust his bayonet at him. Kunii took a half step back and avoided the first blow, but the instructor advanced further and aimed at Kunii's side of the head with the bottom of his bayonet. But the next moment, Kunii pressed a shurnai against the back of the instructor's head and knocked him to the floor. The instructor, held down by the shurnai, was on all fours and unable to stand up. The match was over almost instantly. The instructor, who was uninjured, subdued and unable to move, honestly conceded defeat. And, this event caused GHQ to change its mind. This is the episode in which Zinya Kunii saved Budo. Of course, there must have been political discussions between the countries, not only this event, but I think the impact of Kunii's winning the match would have been quite significant nonetheless. Watch the video again.
金子のユーリさんと私が紹介していて一緒にやる時には私の後輪を作った特許のメンバーなんですね。それでそれから国さんがなんかまあやぶさめする加谷さんや国さんが私があれ紹介したわけです。国さんは前から知って加谷さんもずっと昔姫路の連隊をった時もから知っております。それでそれいいことだ違う古いもんだけやろうって思ったらそれでまた国さんやこうも古いいうのが合気道ようなのは最近作ったんでよくとほとんどじゃかなくなって古いものいうような気持ちでやぶさめと一緒にそれでこうやってシェアしてくれているあれそれがなんで
From this point on, it is entirely my guess. Moreover, it assumes that Kuni-san and Kunii-san is Zinya Kunii. Hirai Sensei introduced Kaneko Sensei to Zinya Kunii, who wanted to practice Yabusame. And, including Kaya-san, there must have been an exchange of skills among the four of them. In the process, Hirai Sensei may have learned Yabusame and Kunii may have tried his hand at Taisabaki. It is a little exciting to think so. What's more, I'm a little concerned about this word. The word iwaku literally means profound reason in Japanese, but it is not a very positive word. As some of you may know, Kunii was considered a heretic in the Budo world. Because, he was a roughneck who would challenge anyone to a fight. The book says that, the interaction between Hirai Sensei and Kunii began when Kunii went to Kobukai to request a match with Morihei Ueshiba under the guise of practice. Kunii has been banned for several years because he challenged other styles to a match also at the Meiji Shrine Grand Festival. I could not find out when the Kashima Shinryu began participating in the festival and when Kunii was banned from the festival, but the Takeda-ryu Yabusame, which had been participating since before the war, returned to the festival in 1953. I suspect that the reason Hirai Sensei used the word iwaku may have something to do with this. In other words, Kunii wanted to learn Yabusame from Kaneko Sensei and also to have a chance to participate in the grand festival. Well, I'm just guessing, so I don't know what's really going on. Am I being a little too emotional about the history of Budo? If anyone is familiar with this episode, would be very interested in hearing about it. I have heard that at that time, under the direction of GHQ, several unique Japanese cultures were in danger of disappearing. Many people who will never be mentioned in the history textbooks preserved that culture. I believe that Xenia Kunii was one of them. And he was the one who preserved the pride of the Japanese people in that match.
とは要するに精神面に重い共関係ないかと思うんですよ。昔も今も通じて今はなお飛び道具があるんだ。負け勝ちとかね、勝負を論んだらピストル撃った方がいいって言うんだから。だから我々はこのもう武道の真髄、いわゆる真武の本当の武道ですね。真髄を持って、爆発たちの精神を持って達成して万難不屈の大丈夫を